So welcome to this information session on finding info, reading and note-taking. My name is Amy. I'm one of the librarians here at Curtin Library in the Bentley campus. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the First Nations people of the place that we call Australia and recognise the many nations who have looked after country for more than 60,000 years. I am honoured and grateful for the privilege to learn and teach in Boorloo, and I pay my respects to elders past and present as custodians and owners of these lands. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So as I said, we've got a bit to go through. We do have an hour and a half, but if you do have any questions as we go, please put them in the chat and I'll answer them. Today we'll go through analysing your assignment topic and identifying those keywords that you can use for your search. We will look at all the different sources that you can find and how to select appropriate search tools to locate them. We'll go through how to perform a search using the library catalogue and the databases. I'll show you where the filters are and some different search techniques that you can use to both narrow and broaden your search depending on how many results you're getting. We'll look at some alternative terms to expand your search, as well as using and or to connect those search terms. And then we'll go through some reading techniques that will help you read all of these resources that you've now found. We'll go through some note-taking strategies as well, but note-taking is really completely up to you, as in how you do it is completely up to you. And then I'll show you some resources about how to find more information. So this in general is your assignment process. Ideally, it would be linear, right? You would analyze your question, you would find some information, you would read that information, you would then write about it, you would do your referencing and you'd submit. Easy peasy. As we know, it's not always a linear process. You'll analyze your question and you'll go to find some information and then go, oh, actually, is this actually worthwhile? I should really analyze my question again. So you jump backwards and then you go, yeah, cool, I'm good, I'm finding relevant info, now to read it. Oh wait, I haven't found enough. And then we'll go back to finding. Like it'll be all over the place, and that's okay, because that's what it's like for everybody. So today we'll go through those first three steps. So some analyzing of your question, finding information for it, and then reading. So for today, I've got an example assignment. Feel free to follow along with your own assessment. You can find your own keywords, that's totally fine, or you can use ours. So this is my example. In 1,500 words, explore whether artificial intelligence will ultimately benefit or harm humankind. You must correctly cite and reference at least 5 sources, with at least 3 of these being scholarly journal articles. So we will also have a marking rubric. Now you should get one of these for every assessment. If you don't have one or you can't find it, ask your unit coordinator for it, because it will help you understand what they're looking for and will help you get a higher mark if that is what you're after. Because it'll show you what that higher mark looks like, right? It'll tell you exactly what you need to do or what you need to include in order to get that higher mark. So it'll look something like this. This is a very basic version. So we've got a column down the left-hand side. That is the thing you are doing, basically. So this is, okay, in this assessment, sources is a factor, and accessing scholarly current information less than or equal to 10 years old needs to be at least 5 credible sources, with 3 being scholarly journal articles. So it tells me that if I don't provide any of this, there's no relevant information being used, I'm not going to get any marks for this part of the assessment. If I have more than 50% of sources not being credible or current, or those minimum information requirements aren't met, so these 5 credible sources, then I might get a mark because I've had a go, but I haven't met these criteria. Competent, so 2 marks, you know, average, middle. Most of the information is relevant, it's credible, it's current, and I've met these minimum requirements. And then that extra step up would be everything is relevant and credible, and I've found more than enough information. So the first step is to pick out keywords from your assessment. So from our initial question, which was this one, explore whether AI will ultimately benefit or harm humankind, the keywords or the key concepts are the things that we need to pick out of that our assessment will be focused on. So we have artificial intelligence, benefit, harm, humankind. You don't want to put the entire question into a search engine ever, because it breaks those up into the words that you're using and then spits back results that contain those words. So if you're using words in your search like explore and weather, it's going to come back with stuff that is exploring something but not necessarily the subject that you're after. So we just want those key concepts that we want our resources to focus on. We also need to keep an eye out for different elements to do with our assessment. So the types of publications that we're allowed to use and the number of sources that we need, plus any date restrictions. So again, some of these will be in that initial assessment information. So in here, it's already told us that we need at least 5 sources. And at least 3 of these need to be scholarly journal articles. Now the rest of the information, so the parameters around how old they can be, they are in our marking rubric. So this has told us it needs to be less than or equal to the last 10 years. So it needs to be fairly current, right? So always check your marking rubric, always check your assessment information thoroughly to see if there are any of these little rules that you have to stick to. Now the types of sources that we're looking at. So your main 2 are going to be these ones, books and book chapters and journal articles. Does anyone know the difference when I say books and book chapters? Feel free to put it in the chat if you have any thoughts. Not sure? That's okay. Section of the book, yeah. So generally, when we talk about a book as a whole, it's about one topic, right? There's one author, they've written a book, it contains all information written by that person. And a chapter, yeah, thanks Jodie, would refer to a particular chapter, generally in an edited book. So the book itself would be a collection of, say, articles or a collection of chapters written by different authors that have all been edited or collected by an editor and bound into one book. So yeah, perfect, Emily. The book is the book itself, and a book chapter is one topic or one section. But books can be about one topic with one author, or they can be an edited book with different book chapters that have been written by different people. You would reference each of them differently, so just keep an eye out for that in the referencing guide. But generally books are a good overview of a topic. They contain a lot of good definitions, and they'll have details of key research and theories. Journal articles, however, will report on a specific type of research. They'll report on a specific topic. They're written by experts as well, and they provide references. So in every journal article, there will be a list of things, a list of other articles that that person has cited, and they're timely. So books and edited books take more time basically to publish, while journal articles can be accessed very quickly or can be published quite quickly. So you're more likely to find there will be more journal articles from 2025 available than there would be books from 2025. So we can also have reports. So they communicate information, there's a lot of data. They're produced by government, not-for-profit organisations and companies, and they may contain bias, especially if they are reports that have been produced by a particular organisation. They're generally going to make the organisation look good, right? So always look at who has published the report and what they're trying to do with it. You may also have other sources like statistics, standards, conference papers, legal materials. There's heaps of available options. We've generally listed them all in our referencing guides. I'll quickly show you that too, because why not, right? So this is Uni Skills. There will be a link to this in your Oasis. It's got a heap of information in there. So our referencing guides for anyone who hasn't seen them, we've got one on each referencing style that is supported at Curtin. Most units would use APA. But then see all of these here: journal and news articles, books, websites, social media, reports and other grey literature, legislation and standards. These are all types of resources. So TV series, YouTube, podcasts, all different ways you can support your assessment, or the argument in your assessment.
Can I speak?
Generally though, if you're asked for scholarly resources, sticking to books, articles and reports is always very safe. Samuel asked about IEEE. That's an engineering style of referencing. So some of them are very specific, like Vancouver is generally medical. AGLC is one that is used in law, and IEEE is engineering. Grey literature is just other like brochures, fact sheets, codes of conduct, that sort of thing. So it's all that sort of, it's published, but it's not a book, it's not an article, it's all that little extra stuff. All right, we're going to go through the catalogue. We'll have a look. Yeah, government documents. So no, news articles would be, they have their own separate thing, like a newspaper article would have its own reference, especially if it's on a website, we would reference that in a different way too. So feel free to follow along with the catalogue. There will be a search box available in Oasis. But this is what the home page looks like here that you can see in the screenshot. So there'll also be a link to this in Oasis. Let's zoom that out a bit. Not that far. So here is where we put our search terms. I'm just going to quit that. So we had, and I'm just going to put them all in here, artificial intelligence. Here's one I prepared earlier. So I've got artificial intelligence, benefit, harm, and I'm going to put humankind in there as well, because they were our 4 keywords. So we're not putting the whole question in there. We don't need commas or anything at this point. Just throw them all in there and hit search. So sorry, to get to this web page, like I said, there's a link in Oasis. There's also a little search box in Oasis that you can put your search terms into. But if you are using, if you do just want to use Google, you can Google Curtin Library from the Curtin Uni homepage. There's a little library button up here, and that'll take you to the homepage. And we're putting in our keywords and hitting search. So this is our results page. So we can see all our results are listed here. and your filters are on the right-hand side. I will say though, the first step, if you haven't already, is to log in. So mine's already logged in, but if you're not logged in, it'll say log in. There'll also be a little pop-up in the middle of the screen telling you to log in. This just allows you to use the full functionality of the catalog. It'll recognize you as a Curtin student. Generally, if you come from Oasis, you'll already be logged in as well because it'll recognize that you came from Oasis, but always double check. So now we have almost 1,500 results. That's too many for my liking. That's too many to sift through. I want to filter them down. So I know that I need journal articles, so I'm going to focus on that. And I'm going to refine the date because I need them within the last 10 years, right? So we're going to change that to 2015. And I'm going to apply my filters. There are other filter options. They're the two that you will use the most. The resource type and the creation date. Why isn't that refined for me? Let's do that again. You can also filter by language. Yeah, I probably didn't tick the box. All right, Sam, is there an easier way to identify original articles? What do you mean, Jesse? What do you mean by original articles? As in just journal articles? I wait for your answer, I'll just keep going. Excuse me. So that's already halved my results to 700. So there were, yeah, almost 800 results in there that weren't relevant to me. So I didn't need to even go over them at all. So now I can sift through, have a look at one that looks semi-decent. We're just going to skim read. We'll go through that more later. But we're skim reading the titles, maybe the authors as well, seeing if any names pop out. When we click on one of them, it'll take us to that particular result. And if you scroll down to availability, it shows you where you can read it. So Curtin is signed up to multiple databases, hundreds of databases, which will allow you to read things for free. So please don't pay for anything. If you do use, say, Google Scholar or anything like that, don't pay for anything. If you come up against a paywall, always check the catalog and see if we have it. And then if we don't have it, you can request it. So there's a little recommended item up here. So always recommend it before you pay for anything. Now how do you get articles from here into EndNote? I can show you that too, Jess. So from availability, we're just choosing one of these options. This one has 2 options, some have 5. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Some of them will only have 1. That's an easy choice. And it will take you to the article. So it's telling me that access is provided by Curtin. It knows that I'm from Curtin. It's got its little AI assistant on the right-hand side here. Always download the PDF if it even looks remotely good before you've even read it. Download the PDF because it will have all the relevant referencing information for you. If you just read it online, some of them may not have the correct page numbers listed. Like this one has page 1, but that could just be page 1 of the article, not necessarily page 1 of the journal. Does that make sense? So we want the relevant page number, which the PDF will always have. And it just makes it easier to keep it all together because you can also then upload that into something like EndNote and keep it with your reference, which would then help you do your referencing later on. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I have one, Amy.
So from here for EndNote, then you would click on something that says either cite or, actually no. Here we go, citation export. So cite gives you the reference or a reference. Always check that they're correct against our referencing guide. They're not always going to be correct because they're, like this one uses APA 6th. We don't use APA 6th, we use APA 7th. So just always double check. By all means, use it as a starting point, but always edit them. But yeah, so for EndNote, just quickly, you would go to citation export and then either click EndNote or ref, and that will download it for you. Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry, it's Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Did you want to try again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, sometimes I've looked for resources and they're not available on ProQuest. Is it possible to access ProQuest in any other way? Does that make sense?
As in, are you accessing it from the databases page? Because we'll go through that in a sec as well.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know if we do that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm just going to turn the speaker off again, but let me know again. Sorry. Alrighty, so that's the basics of the catalog. If you log in, you can also save things. So if you don't have time to go into each one separately, you can pin them. You go, yep, that one looks good. If you've got, say, 5-10 minutes and you're just doing an initial search, you can pin them, go up into this pin next to your name, and it'll list them for you here. And then if you decide, actually, no, that's not useful to me at all, you can unpin and they'll be removed from your favorites. That's just frozen. Cool. Okay. I think it's just frozen on me. There we go. Back to results list. You can also just click that pin again and it will take you back to the main results. The ones in yellow will be the ones that are in your favorites already. So we can unpin them from here as well. Any questions about the catalog? All fairly straightforward. No questions or not straightforward, Dipu? Sorry. No questions, great. Alrighty. So yes, databases. So databases are just a different type of collection of published online sources. So they will also contain articles, books, book chapters, conference papers, reports, newspaper articles, all sorts of things. We recommend starting with something like ProQuest, which is the one we just saw, because it's multidisciplinary and it just means it'll cover a wide range of information. You can, however, use more subject-specific databases. So if you want to focus on materials on education or medicine, you can pick something that is more specific to your subject. So why would we use a database over a catalog? By all means, start with the catalog. Definitely start with the catalog. Databases, though, will have, they're guaranteed to have scholarly material. They're always going to be reliable and authoritative. So people have gone through them. They've published these for a reason, right? It's well organized as well, so it's always grouped into subject collections. There's an advanced search functionality, so we'll have a look at that too. So that just helps you to really focus your search on what you want rather than sifting through hundreds or thousands of resources. There's usually access to content that isn't available elsewhere. Again, don't pay for stuff you do not have to, because Curtin pays for you, so let them pay, right? So in ProQuest, we would have just this basic search. We would have our keywords, artificial intelligence benefits, and say humankind. So that looks like you can get to databases from the catalog. There's just this little guy up here. Or if you're on the library homepage, if you scroll down, there's a bank of links down here, which is another way to get to uni skills. There's a databases button here, or there is one on Oasis as well. Do you recommend using external app for APA referencing? I mean, by all means, have a go, but I would always check it against our referencing guides. If you've got a way that you like to do it, if you say EndNote, MyBib, Zotero, any of those, we do have support for EndNote because Curtin has an agreement with them. But yeah, find one that works for you, but always edit it, always go over it. But if it makes your life easier, at least as a starting point, absolutely. That's what all of this is about, right? We're just trying to save time. Students have very little time, so we're just making it a little bit easier for you. So this is our databases page. The recommended ones are up here, so these are all the multidisciplinary ones. So they cover a wide range of information. ProQuest is the go-to. If we scroll down, there is all of these different ones as well. So they're listed alphabetically, but we can filter them by who uses them or by subject. So if I was, say, studying engineering, like IEEE came up earlier, these are all the databases that we recommend for engineering. The ones in bold at the top are ones that are considered key databases, or like they have a lot of information in them, but there are any number of other databases available to you. They're usually ones that are more focused on the topic as well. So something like Science Direct or Taylor and Francis, they have a lot of science information. So they're going to have, say, information on engineering in them, but they're not necessarily focused on engineering like this village would be or IEEE Explore. So there's also these little tokens here. The video just means there's video content. The little Australia means they're focused on Australian content. So it just depends on what you need. But yeah, you can pick. Let's go education, and it changes the list of databases for you. So ProQuest, any database search really. Did the Curtin Library Catalog have all the sources from the databases? Yes, all the sources in the catalog. I mean, not all of them are going to be from a database because it includes any hard copy books that we have or any ebooks that we have that aren't attached to a database. But you are more likely to find specific information for your topic if you go straight to a database. Again, by all means, we recommend starting with the catalog and seeing what you find, because there is information in there. But again, it's kind of like ProQuest, right? It's multidisciplinary, everything is there, everything is going to come up. So if you are looking for something more specific, then you would go to a database where you can sort of finagle that search strategy a little bit to make it more targeted. So you may go to the catalog and find info that is relevant, but probably isn't super useful for your assessment, maybe, depending on your topic. And then if you go to a database, you can hone it in a little more and you might get some more specific articles or newspaper articles or, yeah, reports, anything like that. No worries. All right, so in our ProQuest, the default is the advanced search. We recommend using the advanced search option because it's there. You can just do a basic search though as well if you wish. So in our advanced search, each keyword or key concept goes in its own line. Yeah, advanced search is amazing. I agree, Sam. Generally, yes. So we would have artificial intelligence, and it comes up with options for you. Same way Google does. I'm going to focus on benefits. And then we had 3 or 4, so we can add a row and say human, and we will spell it correctly. Now, in this particular advanced search, you would then change these drop boxes to anywhere except full text. So by leaving it at anywhere, it would search for these terms anywhere in the article. So it will bring back articles that might mention the word human, but not necessarily be about artificial intelligence benefits in human altogether, right?
How did you, excuse me, how did you add the other
Which
box?
is going to
How did
flow
you-
out our results page.
How did you add the other box? Were you
I'm changing it to anywhere except full text. It means that it's going to only search for these terms in the quote important parts of the article. Sorry, I'll just turn this on again. Yeah, go for it.
How did you add the other box? You put benefits and then you added.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
add a row.
Still
And then if you
amazing.
decide you don't want it there, you can remove it again.
Yeah,
I'll
thank
just
you.
leave it. No worries. So yes, anywhere except full text. It's only going to look for those things in the important parts. So it'll look in the keywords of the article, it'll look in the abstract, it'll look in the title. So only those important parts, which means that the results that it returns are going to be about these 3 things together, rather than having a article come through that might mention artificial intelligence but doesn't talk about the benefits at all, right? So always do anywhere except full text. And then we go search. And these are our results. Again, 12,000 results. I do not want to sift through all of those, especially when there's only 20 on each page. So on the left-hand side this time are our filters. So again, you're more likely to use the source type and the publication date. So it's the same as creation date. So if we click on journals, it's already gotten rid of 4,000. And then I only want the ones that have been published in the last 10 years. So we can click here, or we can do a custom date range as well. Yes, Samuel. Oh, I've lost you. Oh, there we go. Was it just is this search system available on the Curtin library? As in the advanced search? Can anyone else hear Samuel? Am I going insane? So there's no real advanced search option for the catalogue, if that's what the question was. Oh, he's left. Maybe he's coming back. Can't hear him too. Okay, cool. We'll wait for him to come back. Yeah. Let's see if he comes back. He'll be right. Okay, so this is the basic search for ProQuest. So I've already, again, not quite halved, but I've gotten rid of a lot of results that I already know aren't going to be useful. So it's already honed in on those more relevant ones. Again, I can change the publication date and go more current, and it's taken away another 1,000. So always use those filters to get into those parameters that you've been given on your assessment information. Any questions about the basic ProQuest? We do have some more info about how to change your search strategy up. So this is where we bring in ADEs back. So Samuel, I think you had a question. No worries, that's totally fine. Alice does that too.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Is that search system that was on ProQuest available in the Curtin library as well?
Like the advanced search?
Yeah, that looked very useful.
So there is this. You can use it. We recommend just using the basic search, but by all means, you can put in your filters straight away using the advanced search. You can include all the ands and ors that we're about to go through as well. So there is an option in the catalog. Again, it's still multidisciplinary, but yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. Yes, no full text. Thanks, Sam. Alrighty, so if we've done our basic search, we're still getting too many, or maybe we're not getting enough results. We can use things like and or. So and, I don't know if you noticed, but in ProQuest, they automatically include the and for you, as they did in that catalog one as well, in the advanced search. So this little drop box, it's automatically and as a default. So that just means that it's combining those search terms together. So it's looking for artificial intelligence and benefit and human. So it's going to return results that have all of those terms in it. So this narrows down your search because you're only looking for results that contain all of these keywords together. Yes, so it also has or and it also has not. So you can, if you, maybe you're looking at artificial intelligence as a whole instead of generative artificial intelligence, and you kept getting generative artificial intelligence pop up, you could say not generative, like you would with a Google search, doing the little dash just to say don't include this. Yeah. So yes, you can say if a word keeps popping up and that's something you don't want in your search, you can say not this one. Yeah, Boolean terms, perfect. That's exactly what they're called. So we can also use alternative terms to broaden our search. So if we weren't getting enough results, we can go, okay, clearly artificial intelligence and benefits isn't working for me. Maybe I can do artificial intelligence plus benefits or advantages or opportunities and include those in your search. So this just means that it's going to look for those alternative terms as well, right? So there could be articles out there that are relevant to your assessment. They're articles that could be useful to you, but they just use different language. Stuff like, especially in education, when like the US talks about university and college, right? So you could say tertiary education or college if you're looking for that broader topic. So then we include those terms using or. So this broadens your search because it tells it, okay, yes, I want this topic, but I also want it if it appears as this term as well, because that's still relevant to me. So you would include it by saying artificial intelligence or generative AI, college or university, primary education or elementary education, that sort of thing, right? We can also use phrase searching. So if your key concept has 2 or more words, highly recommend putting them into quotation marks because it will look for those words together rather than looking for them separately. So again, you're more likely to get more relevant searches because they're going to be about that concept as a whole rather than getting results that might mention intelligence but not artificial intelligence. So our baby search of artificial intelligence and benefit and human becomes this: artificial intelligence or AI or generative AI, and benefit or advantage or opportunities, and human or people. So again, each concept goes into its own little box. So we'll have a look at that. And we can just type or in between them. So again, using our phrase searching, go artificial intelligence. Again, hopefully spelling it correctly. And then you're just writing or next to it. It doesn't have to be capitals, but it helps, as in just visually. Or AI, or generative AI. And then in our next one, we had benefits or advantages. I can also say or opportunities. And then again, we add a row for our third one. We say human or people, making sure these are anywhere except full text, and search. So you can see that by including the ors, it's broadened my search significantly. I only had 6,000 results before, now I have 46,000. So those rows add more details to your search. Yeah, so you're just adding those keywords. So you could just leave it at artificial intelligence and benefits, but it may talk about financial benefits or environmental benefits if there are any. While we want, for our assessment question, we want it to be about humankind specifically. So it just means that it's going to be more relevant to you. So the first step is always picking out those keywords from your assessment topic. No worries. So that's our search. Are there any questions? Anything anyone's not sure about? Currently working through a unit with the only access to the textbooks through the ProQuest library system. Pages or chapters to read offline. So that'll depend. I'm just looking at the question that Deepa's put in the chat. Is there any way I can save or download certain pages or chapters to read offline? That will depend on the book, and it will depend on the agreement that Curtin has with the ebook. There should be, I think in most ebooks, if not all, there should be an option to download at least a couple of pages or a couple of chapters. If you are struggling, I recommend emailing the library. So I can put a little help option in there. And you can let us know what book it is and we can have a look at the options for you. We'll help you to find the options. You can just email us at this little, I'll just copy that in. But yeah, there should be an option to at least download part of it. Probably not all of it, again, depending on the book. Could use something like ChatGPT to search for and summarize the text to keep on top of the readings. So, AI is tricky, especially something like ChatGPT that isn't built for searching. So we're not allowed to copy and paste anything into an AI that you didn't create because that breaches copyright. So you can't, say, copy and paste an entire article into something like ChatGPT or Copilot. Most databases these days will have something, will have an AI. Yeah, so ProQuest here has this guy on the right hand side, this little assistant. And it will generally give you a key takeaway or some highlights. It'll suggest some sources for you that are relevant to you or that are connected to your topic. Whether they're relevant or not is entirely up to you. And it will also give you some different terms that you could use. But again, it's just a tool, right? Like it's up to you to decide whether that's useful to you or not. With a reference from an APA 7 reference, I mean, you could copy and paste the DOI, and if the article has been uploaded at any point or is included in the training of the AI, it should be able to find it for you. I wouldn't bank on it, and I would also double check, always double check anything an AI spits out at you, because it does hallucinate things, it will make stuff up. But if the DOI is part of its training, it might be able to give you a summary, but you would still need to double check that that is correct. Thanks, Sam. I missed this, but how can I tell what is an original peer-reviewed article? What do you mean by original? Yes, correct, Sam. Samuel's just said that the tool will know things and acts on that knowledge, but it doesn't refer back to the training data. It doesn't think for itself, right? See, what is original? What is the answer for Jessica's question? As in using something like ChatGPT or like copying the reference in. You could copy the reference in, but it may not know what that reference is referring to. As Samuel said, it doesn't think for itself. It's not going to recognize something and go, oh yeah, cool, I'll just check that for you. And I would, if you're going to use any sort of AI summary, I would have a look at the ones inside the databases because they're part of the database, while something like ChatGPT, it's not what it was built for, right? It's like looking at a multidisciplinary database compared to something that's subject specific. There are tools out there that have been built for searching, but again, they're usually linked to databases. And then there are tools that are used for general stuff like ChatGPT. I know I have to have peer-reviewed articles for an assignment, but in one question I asked for an original. Is there a difference? And if so, how do I find that? I don't think there is a difference. I would double check with your unit coordinator just in case, because they're the ones that are marking you, right? You can filter by peer reviewed. So in the catalog, there's an option here under availability. You can look for specifically peer reviewed articles. It just means they've gone through an extra step in the editing process. There's a similar filter in ProQuest as well. So again, on the left-hand side, there's limit to peer-reviewed. And that's halved those results. I'm not sure what they mean about original though. I don't think there is a difference. But ask, double check with your lecturer, tutor, unit coordinator, because they might be asking you to look for something specific. Yeah, no worries. Sorry, Jesse, in the context, I think original would be research performed by the authors and not built up another team's research. Yeah, that's valid. So rather than, say you've got this journal article, if you find something in here that's been cited, you would then go to the article that's been cited rather than using this person's research on top of the other person. Does that make sense? But yeah, I'd be interested to know what they mean about original. Or why they're using that language even. I haven't heard that said before. Alrighty, that is our searching, basically. Yeah, it could definitely be academese, just jargon. So one search momentarily. Hey, there we go. Sorry about that. My internet just dropped out. So yes, one search is never going to be enough, especially to find those relevant articles. I mean, you could pick anything, right? But you want things that are going to boost your argument, stuff that's going to help you with your assessment, with your mark. So it's always a good idea to change up the search strategy a little. So we had our initial one there, artificial intelligence or AI or generative AI, and benefit or advantage, and human or people. So I would then, I'm just focusing on that one part, right, that benefit. But then I know that I had another aspect of that topic. I had to talk about the harm or the disadvantages. So then I would do another search focusing on that instead. You could do them together. It might make it harder though. So something like benefit and harm, you're probably not going to get a lot of journal articles that are doing like a compare and contrast, right? They're going to either talk about benefits or harm. And if you ask a search engine, a database, to look for something that looks for both of those together, you may not get a lot of results. So if you are struggling to find results, change up your search strategy. Focus on one thing and see what pops up. Look at the next thing, see what pops up there, and do your own comparing and contrasting. And then if you are finding too much information, you may want to focus in again, right? You may want to look at AI in healthcare. You may want to look at AI in education. Always check with your unit coordinator, always check it against your assessment information, because that's the be all and end all, right? That's the thing you're working towards. But if that's an option, it will make your search easier as well, especially for something like AI at the moment. I know this is just our example, but if it is something like this and there's heaps of information there, focusing in on something will help sift through all those hundreds or thousands of results. Okay, now what? We've found some sources, now we've got to read them all. But do we? Short answer, no. So academic reading is a part of uni, it's a part of being a student. It can be difficult. You're going to read a lot of articles that use a lot of jargon, and it's just a skill. Unfortunately, it's all just practice. But you do not have to read everything from beginning to end. And we can talk about some strategies that will help with that. Because remember, you're not looking for answers. You're not looking for someone to give you the answer. You're looking for evidence to support your answer. So you know what your assessment is, you know what you want it to look like, and ideally you would have some idea of what you want to say, right? You have some sort of standpoint that you are coming from. So you're looking for evidence to support that. So we want to critically read things to make sure that A, they're useful, B, they're relevant to you, and C, they make sense to you as well. So the first step, we always recommend finding the way that you like to read, because that's going to make it easier. Is it lying in bed? Is it at a desk? Is it in a library? Is it in a study space? Is it with friends? Find something that works for you. Do you like music on? Do you need no music on at all? Do you need absolute silence? And then always take breaks, right? It's always going to be, there's a lot to get through as a student. We know this, you know better than most, especially as an online student as well. There just always seems to be another section to go through or another reading list to check. There's always stuff to look at, right? So finding a way to sift through it that works for you is the first hurdle, I think. And then where do you start? So start with the stuff that you're given automatically, all your course texts, the lecture notes, any readings and recommended readings, any authors that pop up a lot. I know in education specifically, there's always authors that you end up recognizing the names of. You're like, oh yeah, it's Bloom again. And then academic journal articles as well. So they're going to give you nice key information that you can then use as a focus for an extended search. So the first part of our reading technique is to skim read, which normally you would do most of while searching for things, because you want to skim read all of the important key ideas information, right? You're looking at the title, you're looking at the publication details, reading through the abstract. No worries, Michelle, thanks for coming along. You'll get the recording later so you can catch up then if you like. Reading through those headings and subheadings, and then looking at any images or tables that are in the article or in the content that you've been given in your units. So the title, even the publication details as well, especially those dates, and maybe even the abstract while you're searching, you're looking at those things anyway. So you're just skimming through and going, yeah, okay, this one looks interesting, I'll read that more later. Or you're reading these things and going, no, this isn't going to be useful to me at all, I will reject it outright immediately. I have a quick question. Notice the hard copy and digital version, same textbook, sometimes have different page numbers. What should I do when I'm referencing a quote or section for my assignment? Should I follow the digital version's page, or is there a standard way to handle this? It depends on what you're referencing. If you're referencing the hard copy, you would use the page number in the hard copy. That's okay. If you're referencing the digital version, you would use the page number in the digital version, because the reference is going to look different, right? The digital version is going to have either a DOI or a URL, so they're going to know that you used the digital version. If you're using a hard copy of a book, it's not going to have that, so they'll know that you used the hard copy of the book. Cool, yeah, then use the page number in the hard copy, and then just reference it as a hard copy book. So you would really just include the publishing information. I'll quickly show you. Again, in Uni Skills, we'll have our referencing guides. So we have books. So you would have a DOI or a URL, but you don't have those things. So you would just have just that publishing information. I mean, again, this is APA, double check what you're using. So you would provide a DOI for online sources, but if you're not using if you're using a print book, you would just omit the DOI. So yeah, no ISBN, just the publishing info. Again, for APA in particular. Cool. So yes, back to reading, sorry. We're going to skim read these sessions. Again, you'll do most of this as you search. And then save it somewhere, download the PDF for those ones that you think are going to be useful later on. Always keep your assessment topic in mind too. So once we've decided, yep, these ones, I've skim read them, they look like they could be useful to me, then we're looking for specific things, those keywords, those concepts, any phrases that look interesting. And we're going to run our eyes over the introduction, the conclusion, and the subheading and first sentence of every paragraph. This is going to give you a really good idea of what they're talking about. An intro and a conclusion are always going to be good summaries for what it's about. And then the subheading and the first sentence of every paragraph, that's going to tell you what the paragraph is about, right? It's going to link to that thesis statement. It's going to give you a rough overview, a pretty good overview actually, of the entire article. And at this point you decide, is it worth my time reading through the whole thing? If it is, then we start reading for detail. So this is where you are actively engaging with the material. You're looking for evidence that you can use in your assessment. So these articles that get to this stage, or books or whatever you're using, it's because you've decided, yes, this is going to be relevant to me. I'm going to be able to use this. We start highlighting and we start taking notes. But again, always keep your assessment question in mind. It always has to link back to that. Don't read anything that's not going to be useful to you in the long run. And then we can read for recall. So this is when we're reading our notes. So once you've read the whole thing, ideally you wouldn't have to read the whole thing again, because that just takes more time, right? Reading for recall means you are reading the bits you've highlighted or any notes that you've taken. So you can start taking more notes and combining sources at this point as well. So you can start looking at your notes for each resource and deciding that, okay, maybe 2 or 3 of them talk about the same thing, so they can be used to as evidence for a particular point that you're talking about. Sorry, I can go back. Reading in detail. So looking for evidence, making notes, doing highlighting. And then reading for recall is reading those notes, reading those highlighted parts. So you do all this before writing anything in our essays. Usually I do this last and edit and stuff after the fact. You can do that. Like I said at the start, the assignment process is not linear. You can, again, do it any way that works for you. If you have already started writing and you know what you're looking for, that probably makes your search easier because you're looking for evidence, right? As we said before, you're not looking for an answer, you're looking for evidence. So if you've already written something and you know that there is evidence out there and you just want to be able to reference something, yeah, by all means, keep it in mind or keep your writing in mind as you do your search. No worries. So yeah, remember we're reading first and then highlighting, and you got to highlight in moderation. If you're highlighting a whole paragraph, it's just going to waste your time later. Color code if you like. Some people really like a lot of color, some people don't. Some people take notes by hand still. Some people use apps, and some people use AI. There are tools out there for note taking. You just got to find a way that works for you, that's going to make your own life easier. We also want to read critically though. So as we read, it's pretty much about questioning everything that you are reading. It takes a little more effort, but ultimately it will make it easier to justify your choices and use those articles, use that evidence in your assessment. Because you want to, it'll make you, it'll help you understand the content more as well, because it'll help you to develop your own ideas about what you're reading, and it'll help you to question things and look for more information if you need it. If you just take everything at face value, your argument may not be as strong. So some questions you can ask yourself: what is the key message or argument? Is this relevant to your assignment question? Is it well written and organized? Does it make sense to you? If it doesn't make sense, you don't have to read it. Is there evidence to support the claims made in the research? Is the evidence credible? Does it make sense? Do the results make sense? Does the method make sense? Have other authors shared similar findings? So have you found one guy that talks about one thing and then 8 other authors have said, no, that guy's wrong? Who do you believe? Do you believe the 8 or do you believe the 1? And is anything questionable? Like I said, does the method make sense? Can you follow what they've done? It's also about assessing the source of the information. So who wrote it? Are they an expert? By all means, Google the author. Also look at what they're trying to do. So if this links to the where and when was the text published, like we said before with reports. If it's published by a particular organization, if it's on a particular website, it's likely on there so that it makes the organization look good, right? Are they trying to sell you something? Are they trying to give you a particular point of view? Also, who is the intended audience? So there will be articles that you come across that were not written for undergraduate students, even for research students. They were written for people that have been in the industry for 20 years and they're doing their own research, and it's very specific and it's full of jargon, and you can tell straight away that you aren't the intended audience. You don't have to read that. There will be other articles out there that are easier to read. They're more easily digestible. If something's too hard, if something is too specific, you do not have to read it. Always pick things that are going to be relevant to you that you can use as evidence confidently. Like, you know where it's come from, you know that it's scholarly, you know that the source is sound. These are judgments that you're allowed to make. And it's just practice, really. And again, always keep that assessment question in mind. That's where you're going. So, note-taking. Do people still take notes? Does anyone here still take notes? Does anyone here still write notes down? I quite like writing notes down. Yeah? Yes to both? Great. Perfect. Not great at it? That's fair. So taking notes helps for a bunch of different reasons. 36, I write my notes down. Yeah, me too, Jess. So it allows you to focus. It helps you understand what you're reading. I find that writing things by hand still makes me remember them better. I usually always transcribe them though digitally, so I mean that's double handling, but it's also going over them again in a way, rather than just reading them and maybe getting distracted. I'm actively doing something with my notes, so it again helps them to stick a bit. Oh, you're taking notes now. Nice, Elizabeth. It also helps you record information in your own words. So this helps you to understand the content, but also avoid plagiarism stuff later, right? If you're just copy and pasting or highlighting stuff and pasting it somewhere else, and then you forget where it came from, or you think, oh yeah, that sounds great, I'll just put that in my assessment. by putting stuff into your own words, it's easier for you to explain it later and it won't pop up as plagiarism. Also a good way to record your thoughts. So you can take notes against your PDFs. You can do it in EndNote now, I'm pretty sure. You can also do it in other programs like in Vivo. We can write notes as you go. Again, with those questions, like reading critically, you can write questions next to the thing you're reading, like, oh, I should look up more information about XYZ because that'll be useful to me, stuff like that. And it also helps you to see connections between different sources. So if you've taken notes on one topic with one source and then you look at your notes from another source and you go, oh, they actually say the same thing or they support each other, that's going to boost my argument for my assessment. Does anyone like a lot of colour or visuals? I've always been quite bad at visuals with my notes. I use a lot of dot points. That's where I'm about. Highlighters, yeah. See, I buy a lot of highlighters with the intention of using a lot of colour, and then I don't. Yeah, dot points. A few highlighter lovers though. Use a writing program, oh cool, called Scrivener. Allows you to keep different pages in the same document and organize notes. Nice. Like dot points, yeah. Classic dot point. So again, always keep your assessment question in mind. It's always coming back to that. It's always about saving yourself time. And ultimately this is for an assignment, right? Writing in Windows sticky notes, yeah, I use sticky notes a lot too. And change the colors, yeah. How to use EndNotes. So when you upload, so it's in EndNote, the referencing program, and you upload the PDF. I'm pretty sure there's a way to make notes on it or to at least highlight the PDF, which you can do in Adobe as well. Again, record the information in your own words and record the details of the source somewhere. Again, we recommend downloading the PDF so it's all together. But even if it's not, or if you do have the PDF and you want to make sure that the notes you're taking, especially if you're writing them by hand, always write down those details. So even the title and the author and maybe the date, just so you know where those notes came from. It seems obvious, but I know I've definitely had pages of notes going, I know I had this from an article and I don't remember which article it was. And then I've had to go back through all my articles to see which one I took these notes from. So classic note-taking methods. These are just examples. You do not have to use any of these. Note-taking is very specific to each person. What works for someone isn't going to work for somebody else. Again, as I said, dot points, I'm a big fan of the outline method. It's simple, it works for me. The Cornell method is very popular. So you split your page into 4 maybe. Hopefully it comes back. There we go. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, Cornell method, you split your page into 4 different sections. This main one is where all your main notes go, writing down page numbers as well. There's a little section on the left-hand side for keywords. So instead of, if you like making a lot of notes, instead of reading through all of them a bunch of different times, you can just look for these keywords on the side and go, oh yeah, that's where all of these notes I can put into this paragraph that I'm writing about this particular dot point. At the top, writing all of that source information, and then a short little summary down the bottom helps a lot of people as well. So again, in your own words, just doing a short 2, maybe 3 sentences about the main idea or the argument in that article or book chapter, whatever you're reading. So a very visual method, mind mapping. It's quite similar to outline really, but it's more of a brainstorm type scenario. And it does make it easy to see those connections when they're all out in front of you. Sketch notes is very popular as well. There is an argument for using both writing and little images, like drawing little pictures. For some people, it helps them remember it better. So you can give it a go. It's really just about accentuating those notes, those key points with, little pictures, whether that's making it bold or putting little visuals next to it, highlighting that in some way, but just with little drawings. It's very popular. And then, of course, we have our more digital options. So OneNote is part of Microsoft Office, so you should have access to it as a Curtin student. And because it's Microsoft, it works with all your other bits. So all the other Microsoft Office apps, you can set up multiple workbooks and create different sections. So you could have, say, a workbook for each unit and then a section for each assessment. And you can link those sections to other pages and make checklists and things. So you could have like a notes page and then a schedule for your assessment, and you can link those together, and then you can draw onto it as well if you have a notebook. So if you just go to the Microsoft website, or it should be part of Microsoft Office. There's the Curtin software for students. So you have access to Microsoft Office as a Curtin student. I'll put this link in the chat. And it shows you here downloading Microsoft Office. So then you can have all the different apps, so like Word, Excel, Outlook, OneNote, all of those types of things. All those fun Microsoft things. That's if you like Microsoft. No worries. Notion is another one. So it's very, Zotero is another one. It's also free. Notion is a free one. It acts more like a wiki, so you can create your own system pretty much. There's a lot of templates, heaps of templates for different tasks. So you can create a template for schedules and planning and resumes, and there's heaps. If you Google Notion templates, there's whole Reddits devoted to it. I mean, there's a Reddit devoted to everything. Oh, you love Notion. Nice. I haven't met anyone who's actually used it before this session, so that's very cool. Obsidian is another one. So it's quite technical. It uses a basic coding language called Markdown, and there's a lot of different plugins that you can use to customize it. It is only an app though, so OneNote and Notion will sync up across devices. So if you have an app on your phone and on your iPad and on your desktop for Microsoft OneNote, it'll all sync up. Obsidian is only an app, so you would have to download the app onto each device. So if you did want to use it, say, on a laptop and on your phone, you can sync it up, but it is a little bit involved, I guess. But it's pretty cool. This is a very basic example here. You can do headings. It has MathJax, which is a kind of, again, coding. You can link things, you can tag things, and it creates these little links for you. So I know that this Obsidian notes section is also linked to my notes on drawing and my notes on second brain, and it becomes this whole thing. And then these are clickable, and it will take you to those connections. It's very cool. Very involved, but very cool. NVivo is also one I mentioned earlier. So it's mostly used for data, but again, you can upload all your PDFs, you can group them together, and you can take notes and highlight them using codes to find connections. So there are these coding sections, and it will help you create these codes and find these relationships between sources. So again, NVivo is available to all Curtin students. It's in that software page. How to download it is in that software page. But yeah, NVivo, very cool. So some key takeaways. Skim, scan, and read your sources. Skim and scan them before reading them, because not all of them are going to be relevant to you. You do not have to read everything start to finish. You don't have time. No one has time. We get it. So always decide whether it is worth more of your time. It has to work for you, right? You're the boss. You know what you want and what you need. And then take notes, finding a way that works for you. Think critically, ask those questions while you read. And again, if it doesn't make sense, if the method doesn't make sense, if the author is some random that you've never heard of and isn't connected to anything within your subject area, maybe it's not worth your time. So I briefly showed you uni skills, but everything we've gone through today is also in uni skills. So again, there's a little link on the library homepage. There's also a link on Oasis. So if we scroll down here, there's this bank of links here. Referencing gets its own link, but it's also just the uni skills page. It's just because everyone uses the referencing page. So today's content all comes from the assignment page. So there's finding info and reading and note taking. There's also a little bit of understudy and study essentials. There's also this online study page which has some OUA information. So if there is anything you're ever confused by, this is a pretty good overview of where to go when you need help as an OUA student. But yeah, that's all on uni skills as well. That's under study. And then we've got a bunch of other resources as well. So workshops you already know about. You came to this workshop, but there's a bunch of different options. If you ever miss a workshop, if you've seen one that existed but you couldn't sign up to it for whatever reason, reach out to the library, because 9 times out of 10, if there's an online version, we'll be able to send you a recording. Uni skills I've gone through 23 things is quite useful for digital skills. So it teaches you things like video editing and remixing, and it goes into AI a little bit. Yeah, all those digital things. There's a program that's you just work through in your own time. And then the PAMs as well, so the peer academic mentoring. They are other students that are doing really well in their units, in their faculties, and they're available to help you out with stuff. So they won't really be able to give you feedback on your writing or anything, but they'll be able to at least go over things with you, or help you find things. You can book an appointment with them as well online. Yeah. And then, of course, if you ever need any help, you can email the library. Again, that email that I had in the chat earlier, but it'll also be in the email that I send out after this session. But yeah, email us about anything. If we can't answer it, we'll know who can, hopefully. Again, 9 times out of 10, we'll be able to at least tell you where to go if we can't find the answer for you. And then lastly, feedback. If you have any at all, good, bad, in between. We do these sessions for students. We want them to work for you. If they don't work for you, by all means, let us know, because it means we can make them better in future. That's all I have for you today. Thanks very much for coming. We've still got a few minutes. If you have any other questions, if you want me to go over anything again, it's absolutely fine. I can. I will stop the recording there though. But yeah.